Okay, on October 16th, 2023, the Bristol Boys are back. Actually, the Bristol Boys are here for the first time. Name change, everybody. It's going to cause people a lot of panic when they can't find Lottie and Mac on the cul-de-sac. That's because you can only see that in museum exhibits from this point forward. We are the Bristol Boys, and we are back. We got Lottie and Mac. We got Angry Jay and the Don Father. We have a special guest tonight who we're going to introduce in a minute. The commish sadly can't be here. It's crunch time for Southington football, and he's got parent duty. New Twitters and Instagrams forthcoming, Facebooks, TikToks. We're going to have it all, including Skygazer's big check, which is finally, we heard, in the mail. Did you guys plan for this evening, guys?
No.
Well, Jay, if you knew my friend Joe Moriello from Capital Securities, you'd know that proper planning prevents poor performance. And a life well planned can be done so through...
It's a great segue.
Capital Securities. Joining us tonight, special night. Baseball's officially done. College baseball, even they put the spikes away and the gloves. Indoor work from here on in, probably, I would assume. But alum of St. Joseph's High School in Trumbull. Housatonic Community College captain, University of Bridgeport captain. Transitioned into coaching. Coached an AAU national champion. We're going to get into that. Coached at his alum UB, I believe Fairfield, and then to his current home, where he's been on quite a tear as the lead assistant for the CCSU, Central Connecticut State University Blue Devils, who have had bids to the postseason in 2010, 2017, 2019, 2021, and this year, 2023. We welcome our guest, Coach Pat Hall. Thanks for coming, Pat.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Okay, so Pat, we're not going to relive your Little League career and all that stuff, but I do want to say something about high school. St. Joe's, to me, says basketball. They had a baseball program?
Yeah, we did. We were just okay back then in the day. Even though we had this guy Jeff Tereso too. You guys might know him. I think he played center field.
He played baseball?
He was a baseball guy?
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
Interesting
that.
fella here in Bristol.
Center field.
So just going back to those days, I'm not disparaging the baseball program. You guys had some monster classmates that played basketball.
Yeah, no, I mean, even football for many years in the 80s and the 90s, they were outstanding. But in basketball, I mean, the years of Chris Watts and Marvin Sadler and Doremus Bennerman and Matt Grass and there's, like, you can go on, and Kerry Wilson, Johnny Jones, all these guys were great players in high school, and then went on to have successful college basketball careers.
I can remember watching those guys. Angry, remember?
He's the head coach.
Absolutely.
Watch is head coach at Mercy College now.
Is that true?
You know,
I'm not making it up.
Coach, Coach Montelli's from Bristol.
He's being bristling.
I did know. He went to, I want to say he went to St. Anthony.
He did. He went to St. Anthony's High School.
You're
right.
Yeah, he was obviously legendary.
Vito?
Yes, he did.
Legendary. He just passed away a little while ago. Hell of a career. I mean, obviously made an impact on so many players, not just in basketball, but I think throughout that whole high school there, he was just a figurehead that was pretty special.
Did you ever try out for the squad?
Yeah, I actually played freshman basketball, and then I realized pretty quick I was not even close to being good enough, so I put my time doing something else.
Freshman center?
Did Jeff Tereso try out for the basketball team?
Yes, I think Jeff was on the basketball team when he was a freshman as well. Maybe sophomore, I can't quite remember, but yeah, he was the guy with the knee pads on, running around and diving on the floor for the loose balls.
They still wear those?
They do.
It's funny he brings that up.
Imagine that.
Because Pat brought that up to me. He goes, all right, you remember those days? What were they famous for? And it took me, I don't know, 10 seconds.
Yep.
And I remember they had those maroon knee pads on, right?
Yeah, they had them. I mean, for as long as I could remember, obviously I got there in 88 or whatever it was, and they're still wearing them now. I think it was something that Vito wanted to implement years ago, so the guys would have no problem being on the floor.
No excuses, right?
For loose balls.
Yeah, it says get down there. That's what it says.
Absolutely.
Moving on. Why community college? Why Housatonic Community College?
I think part of the reason why was, I was kind of underdeveloped as a physically back then.
How big were you?
And I was like 145 pounds.
Nice, me too. As a senior?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
5'8", 145.
And there was a friend that I knew who was the head coach at the time, Eddie Sylvia. He was there for a long, long time, and Houstonic had a really good run in the junior college level in baseball for years, and had a lot of really good players play there and a bunch of professionals. So it was a place where I could go and kind of get a little bit stronger and play around, get schooling. Obviously, for a few years was cheap, and then went on to the University of Bridgeport after that.
Yeah, so it worked out for you, but I want to stick with that because, it worked for Pat. It worked for so many. It worked for a lot of basketball kids. It was a way to go to school. It was a way to go to school and still have structure and be involved. It was a way to have a chance to get to the next level and get your degree at a 4-year school and participate in a scholarship program. And I was involved for a brief snapshot with Mattituck. We were called Naugatuck Valley at the time. You probably played against Mattituck.
We sure did.
With the great Mark D'Amelio.
Mark D'Amelio, Richie Clark, Stephen Hine. There was a lot of really good players.
Steve Hine went to Westcon after that. Is he from Danbury?
He went to the University of New Haven.
New Haven.
after that.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
who it was.
Drafted, was a pro for many years.
So Quinn Sigmund, remember them? There was a Rick, right? Rhode Island Community College.
There was CCRI.
CCRI, that's what they call it.
Massasoit, UConn Avery Point,
Yeah.
which is still going. They're one of the few that are still going.
Manchester.
Norwalk Community College. I mean,
They were loaded.
Yeah, they won a national championship.
Yeah, when we played them at Municipal Stadium, there was no less than 10 scouts back in those days, back there with guns.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know?
It was,
Radar guns.
We had beat them in
easy.
'95 to go to the World Series, and then I think they won it in '94. They might have won it twice, but they had an undefeated season at some point. They're like 55-0 or something like that.
Is
Pretty good,
Cashman
pretty-
running our state where we're not doing that for kids anymore? Is Cashman in charge of the
We'll
community
get to
college
him
sports?
later.
Jeez, give the kids a chance. All right. So playing days would come to an end at some point. Was there ever a doubt you go into coaching?
There was a slight. I went into sales for about 6 months, and I realized it wasn't any fun. So the first job that I took in college coaching was back at the University of Bridgeport. I made $750 for the entire year. That was my salary for the year. So I go back and I think about it, and I'm not sure why I did it, but I was young enough to do it, and then the rest has been pretty good.
Yeah. On to Fairfield after that? Was that the first division?
I went to New Haven for a year and worked with Porky for a year. And then after that, I had an opportunity to go to Fairfield and work for John Slozar for like 4.5 years, and that was fun. It was a good environment, obviously great university, and then on to Central Connecticut with Charlie Hickey, and this is my 16th year there.
Wow, 16. I think you just missed the Thomaston boy by 1 year at Fairfield.
Which one?
Kyle Capaldo, pitcher.
He was after me.
Yeah, 1 year, I think. Maybe 2. But anyway, 16 years. I definitely want to talk a lot about Central. There's a lot to talk about. But being an assistant coach for that long, I talk to other assistant coaches. Geez, Angry Jay is one. We have friends that are involved somewhat in coaching, and it seems like every assistant coach wants their own program. How are you content, or are you waiting to get your own program? And if you could, do you care what level it's at?
I do care, and yeah, obviously, you put yourself in a position after all these years to want to have your own program. But Charlie Hickey has done an unbelievable job there. He did an unbelievable job at Providence. I've learned a tremendous amount under him, and I probably wasn't. I've had a few opportunities along the way, but quite honestly, I'm probably better suited now than I ever been, just because of paying attention to how he does things and how he doesn't overreact to things, and being patient with young players, and running the program. Is I think is as good as anybody in the Northeast. Obviously, there's a few other teams with UConn, Fairfield does. There's so many good programs in the Northeast now, and I think part of it is because of the resources that they have put forward in baseball across athletics that back 20 years ago didn't exist. There's full-time assistant coaches now. There's more scholarship money now. The facilities are better now. Back
Travel.
Yeah, travel is good. Obviously, you're going to go and try to play early on down in Florida, or a lot of the schools go down. Like last year, we opened up with LSU.
Soft schedule, huh?
How'd that go?
Yeah, it wasn't so good. It wasn't so good.
The national champs.
They were national champs. They were unbelievable.
I want to get back to them in a bit too, but so at CCSU, would you consider yourselves mainly recruiters in Connecticut or the tri-state area, or does it matter?
Well, historically, we've been doing mostly everything in Connecticut, just based off of the fact that our scholarship money goes further. So it allows us to go out and get the players, in this area that are really good players, and make it affordable for them. Now, what's happened the last few years is Central Connecticut has they put this tuition in place that's called NEBI, and this was about 5 years ago. So everybody from New England essentially goes to Central Connecticut just over in-state tuition.
Yeah, we have that too. Yeah.
And
At Eastern, yeah.
At Eastern. And now what they've done, the Board of Regents just okayed every state in the United States to have this now. So there's going to be, from a recruiting standpoint, Pennsylvania is a really good, they added New York and New Jersey last year, so we got a bunch of kids from there. And now, Pennsylvania is an unbelievable state to recruit. There's a lot of really good players, so I think we're going to try to go there, because now we can compete with those in-state schools from a monetary standpoint. But historically, I would say 75% of our roster is Connecticut.
So, Coach, you make the NCAA regional last year. You open up with South Carolina.
Yeah.
When they're taking BP and infield, do you just notice they're just different? They're just built differently physically, or tell us a little bit about that experience of going down there and playing a team like that from the SEC.
Yeah, I think you got to have somebody on the mound that can combat what they're going to try to accomplish at the plate, because they're what people don't understand is their 1 through 9 are super physical. They can run. They don't make mistakes. They play unbelievably fast. And if you make a mistake, they're going to punish you. So, we had a guy on the mound who had a good year. He was an all-conference pitcher. But he was essentially our number 2 guy, Jake Newman, out of Southington.
Yep.
And he's had a great career for us. He was a freshman All-American as a freshman. But he had walked a few guys and he hit a few guys. We kicked a couple balls, and then it just gets out of hand pretty quick. And I go back to when we played Cal in 2019, and they were 22nd, and they had won the Pac-10 or whatever they call it now, Pac-12, and they
Pac-4.
Yeah, exactly. And they had 2 first-rounders. The kid Andrew Vaughn, and I forgot the other kid's name. He went to Houston, but we had Tommy Curtin, and Tommy Curtin was a guy that he's a Bristol kid, tough, and he was able to keep him off balance, and we figured out a way to win because we didn't hurt ourselves. We didn't walk guys, we didn't hit guys, we didn't kick any balls that day. But if you do that to those teams, they're going to make you pay.
That's neat, talking about that level of opponent for the Blue Devils.
I got to ask you something. So, you're the recruiting coordinator there? So, what do you look for in a high school kid? Besides, listen, as a Division III coach, everybody thinks they're playing at UConn for us, and then we have to finally tell them, listen, I'm the only guy showing up, so you're probably a Division III player. Now, you are a Division I coach. Is there something you look for?
Yeah, I try to look for guys that have really good battery, because at our level, you have to want to put the work in to be able to compete against the higher levels. So from a position standpoint, I'm looking for guys that can run. I'm looking for guys that can handle the bat, guys that aren't going to strike out a lot, and guys that can defend. Because as we know, baseball is a game of repetition. And if you can go out there and catch a ton of ground balls, which we do, and get a ton of swings in and be able to do the little things, then, more times than not, you'll be able to compete against those guys. Will you be able to beat them? One time here, one time there, but that's what we kind of look for, is a guy that really wants to work, and that has, obviously, you got to have talent, you got to have bat speed, you got to have arm strength, that type of stuff. But pitching wise, we're looking for guys that can spin a breaking ball. You're going to be in that 85 to 88 range when you're young, and then hopefully move on and be a guy that, with some strength and some coaching to get up in that 90 range. But you got to have great pitchability. And the thing that I talk about a lot is, I think it's been 7 straight years that we've led the conference in walks allowed. And that's a huge part of what we preach. We give up hits, but,
Don't beat yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Minnesota Twins, right?
Yeah.
Coach, I'm happy to hear that. I know the game has changed, especially with the pitchers. It's all about the radar gun now at the major league level. So I'm glad you guys look for something different. Do you think there's going to be a time where the Jimmy Keys, those type of pitchers, exist again at the major league level? They know how to pitch. They change the eye level of the batter, in and out, up and down, changing speeds. Because right now, everybody that comes out of the bullpen is pitching harder than the guy they replaced, right? Is there going to be some type of balance at some point, or do you think it's just so far gone with these showcases and the importance they're putting on the velocity of the fastballs?
I don't think the velocity will ever change out of the bullpen. I think the velocity out of the bullpen, they're just going to run those guys through, and everybody's 94, 95 to 100, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I do think that from a starting standpoint, what people don't understand is, or they don't pay attention to, is that the average fastball still in the big leagues is still like 93.4 miles an hour. So everybody thinks everybody throws 97, but, in reality, there's a lot of guys that throw 91, 92, starters, and that can pitch. Are we ever going to see the Jimmy Keys? I'm not quite sure we'll see those, upper 80s left-handers. And I think it's just because everybody puts that emphasis on velocity. And it's been something that where we've seen the lowest batting average in the history of Major League Baseball now because of that, or because that's one of the reasons why. And we could talk about hitting, as well, but, the pitching aspect has really jumped, so that the hitters I don't think they're ever gonna get away from that.
I got to ask you this, because this drives me nuts. Do you guys do this, or do you believe in like the starter, like not being able to go through a third time through the order?
No,
that drives me nuts.
No, so our number one, I have a motto. My motto is, if the guys in the bullpen aren't better than the guy on the mound, then the guy on the mound staying in the game.
I like it.
And we had a kid, Dominic Nyman, who's from West Hartford, who now he spent 4 years with us and had an extra COVID year, and he's now he's at Kentucky. He spent these. He got a full ride to Kentucky with an IL money, but he threw 100 innings last year for us.
Nice.
And struck out 104 and was a second-team All-American, and held, Campbell, which was the highest-scoring offense in the country last year, was Campbell, and he had him, for 6 2/3 in the regional and gave him 2 runs. And then Coach Hall screwed it up and brought in the wrong lefty and should have brought in the righty, and we ended up losing. But I'm to answer your question, I am a big believer in the guy. I try to tell them their goal is to go 7 innings every time out.
Coach, I'm just curious. The Atlanta Braves of the '90s. Those guys are Hall of Famers. That pitching staff, but they threw a lot in between starts, right? I think they were even tossing a football in the outfield. Quite a bit. What is your philosophy about having these guys pitch or throw the ball in between starts, or depending on how many innings they pitched? Where's the balance there?
Mainly your weekend starters, right?
Yeah. So our weekend guys, they will throw 6 days a week.
Okay.
And we throw football 2 or 3 days a week. We throw the football on our game day start in the outfield. That's the first thing we do. Is throw the football, actually, as we start to get warm up, and then we go on to the baseball. I just think it gives you a good arm path, and our guys have kind of really, they enjoy it. They've seen success out of it, and anytime that they see success, they're going to continue to do it. So from that standpoint, from a throwing standpoint, if they throw 120, and that's my number, like not early on, they'll start, like their first start of the year might be 80, 85 pitches, but by the time we get to the conference, like they can throw 115 pitches once a week.
Yeah, it's warmer.
And be fine, and then what we do is the day after we throw, or our start day, we'll play catch, and then the next day we'll do long toss. The next day we'll play catch, do maybe like a change up set, breaking ball set, and then we'll do what we call a short box. So it's like a 50-foot bullpen, just throwing down and getting the feel, and then throwing their bullpen, maybe 2 days before their start, and they usually won't throw the day before their start. So it's really the only day they don't.
That's
Wow,
interesting
that is
stuff
interesting.
right
I
there,
didn't know,
man.
I didn't realize you throw that much. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in throwing the ball long. Like
I love it. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know we're in an era where guys want to run and gun and throw the ball into a net and try to gain velocity, and there's, I guess, a place for that. I don't want to say I don't believe in it. I don't do it a lot. I'm a believer in if the further you can throw the ball on a line, the harder you're going to throw. I mean, I had an opportunity to talk to Verlander maybe 4 or 5 years ago and talk to him about it, and Verlander was like, if you eat, sleep, keep your body in great shape, and can throw the ball on the line 250 feet, you're going to throw hard. And that was pretty much how simple now he's pretty good, but
Yeah, a little bit. I get thrown about 50 feet. No.
Yeah, he also looked like he was being given up on, and now look at him.
Yeah.
Now look at him, and then he has TJ, and he had it, right?
Yeah.
And now look at him, and like, guy's amazing.
I mean, look at the kid from Toronto, Kevin Guzman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was DFA'd in 2018 by the Reds.
He's reinvented himself, definitely, yeah.
And
That's
now he's a
amazing.
finalist for Cy Young this year.
Speaking of which, this just in, Garrett Cole, Cy Young.
Speaking of the other guy, do you see the National League winner?
Yeah, what about him?
He now has 2 Cy Youngs. Blake
Yeah.
Snell. You know how many complete games he has?
Probably none.
He has 0 in his
Get
career.
out of here.
2 Cy Youngs. No,
Man, I'm
no
disgusted by that. Come on.
That's kind of why I was asking him. about-
Walter Johnson, get out there and pitch, dude. Jeez. Can we get back to the CCSU players that you've had a privilege to coach? I got to do this. I got to start with some Berkshire Leaguers. I know you had at least Evan Scribner.
Scribner was before me.
Oh, he was before
He
you.
was before me, but
Piakowski before you.
he was before me.
Do you have any Berkshire Leaguers then? Probably not.
I'm not sure.
What is the Berkshire League exactly? What are we talking about? What teams are in there?
Oh, easy over there.
There we go.
He's-
We're a CCC. We're talking. Let's go CCC.
Usually played our last basketball game around St. Patrick's
Oh
Day.
God, here we go.
How about the NVL? You've had good success in the NVL, right?
Yeah, we've had success there. We've had success in Amity. Some kids from Amity. We've
Amity
had a
always-
lot of success down in Montville. We've had a bunch of different kid from Fairfield Prep. This kid Dean Lockery, who I talk about a lot. He was recruited by us in Keene State, and he could have been a Division I hockey player. He was captain of the hockey team at Fairfield Prep, who was historically one of the best in the state every year. And he lived in New Haven, and he took a train from New Haven in high school every year and walked from the train station to Fairfield Prep. And this kid, nobody recruited him, but I had an opportunity to coach him for the Connecticut Blue Jays, and I just knew he had an unbelievable battery, like I was talking about earlier. And Dean started for 4 years. He never missed one game in 4 years. He had 260 career hits and was drafted by the Pirates. And, he was like a 280 hitter in pro ball, and then decided that he was done and was going to go start his real estate business, which he's doing now and doing a great job. But, there's a lot of those stories at our level, at that mid-major level, where you get a kid that's just, his talent's untapped and he gets to work, and, you get him stronger, and then 2 or 3 years later, boom, something special happens.
TT, what's his ceiling?
It's funny. TT is an unbelievable human being. He just came down, just got back from the Arizona Fall League where he did okay out there. And he came back, and as soon as he was back, he came back to school and sat down in the office for a half hour with his cousin's buddy Dwayne, which is another Montville kid who's a winner. I mean, those guys won a lot of games growing up. That's something else that we were talking about, what do you look for earlier, and I didn't mention it, but guys that win. Like, there's something about those guys that win.
It's not an accident usually. No.
No, it's not. And but TT, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a chance.
Yeah.
He just has to stay healthy. You know,
He's got the body.
He had, yeah. I mean, he had a Tommy John for us. He had an ACL for us. Then he broke his hamate bone this year. But they obviously think something of him by putting him in the Arizona Fall League. I think he had 5 or 6 homers out there this fall. But he's going to hit it as far as anybody. And he's super athletic at first base. And I'm hoping that he could have one, you know, I think he's going to start in AA or AAA this year. And I'm hoping that he can get a shot.
Yeah, he's a big Coach Hall fan. I know that. Talking to him one time. Other kids from the Naugatuck Valley League. I know Wolcott. You've had a couple Wolcott kids.
Yeah, Jeff Nickel now, who's a starting catcher this past year. He's really grown, and yeah, he's gotten a lot stronger and been able to shorten his swing up. He's gotten better, much better defensively behind the plate. Great leader, good student, good family. Just a great all around leader.
All right, so I got to ask you. I don't want you to draw lines in the sand, but let's talk about your opponents, actually. Who were some of the best guys you played against as a coach for the Blue Devils?
Well, I mean, this past
Any household names?
Yeah, I mean, household names, yeah. I mean, George Springer, Nick Ahmed.
You played against them at Central?
Yeah, when they were
Oh,
at
you
UConn.
played at UConn? Okay,
When we
all right.
played UConn. Pat Light was a pitcher, was a first-round pick by Boston. Made it to the big leagues. He pitched for Monmouth back in the day, maybe 8-9 years ago. It might even have been further back than that. But obviously, the guys at UConn, you're going to run through that one team in 2000. That team in 2010 and 11. I think they had
Six guys.
6
Play
or
with
7 guys.
the Rangers.
Yeah.
I think I saw
base,
his
I
first hit. They played the Tigers. That was when he got a single to win a game against the Tigers in the bottom of the 10th in Arlington.
He just got married this past week. He married Lee Mazzilli's.
Yeah, he was on
Get
that
outta
team
here.
too, right? Mazzilli's kid was on the team. Ryan Moore was on that team from St. Paul.
Yep.
Yep.
Mazzilli's a friendly guy.
What'd you say?
Nothing. I had the privilege of running into Lee at a Rockcats event.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ryan Moore. I'm like, couldn't be a nicer kid.
No, I was talking about the original Italian stallion, number 16 for the Mets. Real peach. Getting back to that AAU team.
Could have been you.
National champs. Was that the team George was on?
George was on one that won it. Barnes was on one that won it, Matt Barnes. But they weren't on that one. It was just a group of kids trying to go back and think about who it was. It was this kid, Jesse Frawley, who ended up pitching at Central. He was a Bethel kid. John Simonelli, this kid, Carl Winkler from New Britain. You're trying to, now those days are a little foggy. It was about maybe 15 years ago.
Oh, you're doing a good job.
I
though.
was hoping it was the Springer crew because I really wanted to just get to that. That was a segue
Well,
to
then
that.
let's go.
All right, so I know you're still close with them.
Yep.
The last time I saw him in person, Lottie and I went to the stadium. He didn't play like the day before, maybe the 2 days before. He ended up getting 5 hits.
Yeah.
We went with 2 non-baseball / Yankee fans, and we never heard the end of it. 5 hits. Next day I don't think he played. So I know you'd never sell your boy out, but well, before we get to that, how special was he? I mean, what is it about him?
Well, it's funny because when George came in the room, and I'll never forget it, when we were down in Norwalk at the time when we started, and at this place called Grand Slam, and his father had called George, and he had said, "Hey, I have a son that does this. He pitches. He's a hitter. He just struck out 18 out of 18 in a little league game." And I'm like, all right, yeah, all right, buddy. Like, okay, yeah, come on down. All right, we'll work him out and see what happens. And he came in and he was, as small as can be, little peanut, arms everywhere, legs everywhere. He was pumping his hands at the plate, and and it worked out. And come to find out, he was going to be the best player on the team at 12, and he was the smallest guy on the team as well. And he just had athletic ability, and part of that is because his mother is a gymnastics coach, I believe in Avon or over there somewhere, and she still does it to this day. And he was in gymnastics when he was like 3 years old. So when he does things physically, he was able to do a lot of different things at a young age that other people weren't able to do because of knowing body control.
That's awesome.
But from a human being standpoint, he's outstanding. I played golf with him last week, and I talked to him yesterday, and we spend a lot of time together still. He's a great teammate. That's something that we always preach, is trying to be a great teammate. He keeps the circle real small. He's not a social media guy. Somebody runs the social media. He doesn't even have it on his phone or anything. He probably should. He'd probably make more money if he did, but I think he's doing okay. So yeah, from his standpoint, he's. I do think he's got a few more good years left in him too.
Well, that was where I was going. Being a Yankee fan, don't want any Astros doing well. It was kind of neat when he got up there, and you'd heard his name a little bit, and you followed the Huskies, and then by the way, he was tied for 8th in Rookie of the Year voting. There was 2 Yankees ahead of him in 2014. Granted, he only played in, I think, 70-something games, so I don't know whether he was being platooned. I know he didn't come up right away, so he might have been late, but early enough to still be considered a rookie. Yeah, I remember when he came up, he came up with a splash like right away. Yeah,
he came up late. They should have brought him up a lot earlier, but there was, obviously back then, they're trying to get away from it now. But they didn't want to bring him up. It was the money reason.
Service time type stuff,
right.
Yeah.
You guys know who won it in 2014? Slugger for the White Sox. I'm not going to...
Abreu?
Yeah.
I'm curious about the Yankees. Who were the 2
Number
Yanks?
3 was a Yankee, big reliever. Big, stature-wise. I can't believe this, that he'd be ever ahead of George Springer on any list. Betances.
Oh, get out of here, yeah.
And then...
He was pretty good for a few years there.
And then a legit guy, a starter that we got from another continent, 2014.
Kuroda? Hideki Kuroda?
No. Masahiro, man.
Yeah,
Tanaka, yes.
Masahiro,
I thought you were
man.
talking
Those
about
guys
Greg
shouldn't
Bird. I don't know who you're talking about.
Shut up.
Betances is 2014, really? God, I would have guessed like
That was
2008.
only 9 years ago, right?
I know, yeah. It seems like you...
So World Series MVP, though, and we got almost 250 homers, like... Reaching one of those big milestones probably out of the question. Probably gets over 300 and
Yeah, I don't like when he comes to bat.
Me neither. I like it that he doesn't come to bat as much anymore, at least against us.
Yeah.
But any insight on that, like his health or anything you can or can't share?
This past year, I think. He was sick for the first month and a half of the season. He had lost almost 20 pounds. People didn't really recognize that, but that was part of the issue. And then there was a little bit of a swing flaw that was going on that he went back and spent some time looking at some of his stuff when he was in Houston, and he started to fix it. And as the season went on, he had some pretty good stretches. Obviously, he came off that elbow surgery last year, which kind of hindered him a little bit too. But he plays so goddamn hard that those things are going to happen, where guys are diving and stuff like that. I think, I do think he's got another 30 homer season ahead of him here, and I think he keeps himself in unbelievable physical condition, and pays attention to his body, and I do think he's gonna have a couple good ones left.
What's it look like off the tee for him?
Hard.
Yeah, okay.
Coach, I want to stay with the MLB just for a sec. The rule changes that they instituted, especially the pitch clock. Do you think that lent itself to more pitching injuries just because of I don't know, it just seemed like there was a lot more injuries with the pitchers. And do the rule changes, did they affect CCSU? Do they trickle down to the college level with the pitch count and the pitch clock? 3 batters. Reliever's got to go to 3 batters.
So the reliever rule does not.
Okay.
Is not in effect in college, but the pitch clock is, and I thought I was going to hate it, and I absolutely love it.
I think we all did
Yeah.
too, and we loved it too.
Yeah.
So okay.
I think the pickoffs do not come and play in college either. So you can still control the running game, which is good. That's the one rule that I think they need to get rid of at the big league level, because guys, they're going to set records that are quite frankly ridiculous, based off of the fact that you're going to throw over twice and
then you're gone. Yeah.
And then you're gone.
Yep.
And Ricky Henderson would have 400 stolen bases a year if that was the fact.
Gotcha.
You
But
know what,
you don't think it affects the pitchers with the injuries? It was just maybe coincidental that they had to get it and throw it right away, or
I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive into that and understood that at all. But I'd be interested to look into it and see if that continues. Because if it does, then they should make an adjustment.
Coach, tell our audience and these guys, when you call pitches, what that process is like compared to what it was like 10 years ago.
So now I have a headset on, and the catcher has an earpiece in, and I think sometimes I call pitches before the baseball is even thrown back to the pitcher. Because what I'm trying to do is I am trying to get the game moving as fast as possible to get our guys in the dugout to keep the momentum on our side. So, it makes life a lot easier. I think I'm going to go to a watch system this year, which essentially what I do is I just punch in the pitch, and then the pitcher will have it on his watch, the catcher will have it, the shortstop will have it, the center fielder will have it. So it makes life so much simpler as far as from stealing science standpoint, and from the speed of the game. I think now with the earpiece that I'm doing to the catcher, there's still a sign that's being given. So the guy who's at second base, just like anything, people have been trying to steal signs for as long as the game's been going on. But it will eliminate that. So most of the schools in the SEC, the ACC, and the Power Fives have the watches.
So they just tap a button on what?
Bobby Mack, did you know that? Is that why you asked?
I knew
or?
about the earpiece. I didn't know about the
that's
watches.
crazy.
I didn't realize the shortstop and the center fielder. They all have it.
They all have it.
What does it look like? A watch?
It looks like a small, really small Apple Watch. That's what it looks like.
I'm against it. I know it's as a coach and as the game evolves or whatever, that's kind of cool. Man, not for me, man. I think part of that's the gamesmanship of being clever enough to not let the guy steal your sign, and then taking care of business if they do, whatever that means to you. It just seems so robotic, where it's like, Drago fighting another Drago or something. You know what I mean? Like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I want people's minds moving.
Yeah, and I understand that component to it, because I'm taking a guess that everybody here on this podcast is a little old school. So
Yeah, I still can't get past the bases though. It still bothers me.
it's terrible.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not interested.
I can't,
in the bases
yeah.
at all. The bases being too big is. I'm not sure.
There you go, Jay. You happy now?
Yeah, it's a pizza box. It's right.
Nothing would rile the Don father up worse than in slow pitch softball when the guy in second base would make that big arc and steal the sign that the 2 mile an hour meatball's coming in yet again and to stay back. But anyway, Coach, transfer portal.
Okay.
Your thoughts? Is it a?
At first, I did not vote for it. I did not want to deal with it because I'm a big fan of player development and being patient with guys. But I will say this, that our best offensive player last year was a transfer from Boston College, who was a graduate student, Ramon Jimenez. He had 350 with 13 or 14 homers, and we wouldn't have got him. Well, that's not true. Let me rephrase that, because if they had graduated the prior rules, you still would have been able to get that kid. But I think you can stay old, which means if you stay old, a lot of times you're going to stay better and you're going to have a better team. Now, that hinders the kids that are 17, 18 years old that are now coming in and that they have to sit. And if they don't like it, then they go into the portal and they transfer to another Division I, or they'll go to a Division II or Division III. I think there's a lot more parity now between the 1, 2s, and 3s because kids don't want to sit. They don't want to be patient, so they're going to jump to one of these other schools. And obviously Eastern Connecticut has been as good as anybody. But if you go back and look at their national championship team, I think there was
A whole bunch of UConn guys.
there's a ton of them,
Yeah.
and it worked for them. And those kids had a great experience winning a national championship. So at first I fought it, I didn't like it, but now I'm like, okay, these are the rules, and I got to play by them. And if I don't, I'm getting passed by.
Have you guys had any problems with, like, if you being a mid-major, somebody really good leaving or being basically recruited with the nil money for
Yeah.
like a Power 5?
Yeah, so the kid Nyman this year had graduated and had the extra year and went to Kentucky. Bowens a few years ago when the portal came into place, he didn't end up transferring because he signed, but he was thinking about leaving, and he could have probably gone to 20 different schools. I mean, Nyman got 25 offers in 24 hours.
Wow.
So, I mean, the money that's in the Power Fives now is just monopoly money. It's just way different.
Yeah, we never even think about it from a college baseball standpoint because we're big college hoop guys and college football, obviously, but it's trickled down to the baseball, that big of money. Down south, especially
Oh, yeah.
with the SEC, yeah.
I would say, so there's a kid, Tommy White, who was a freshman. He was an All-American at NC State. His freshman year, he had 25 homers at NC State, and he transferred to LSU the following year from NC State. And this past year, he was a sophomore and was their 3 hitter and played third base. And the numbers that I hear are upwards of $500,000, for him. So we're talking about baseball, and if you put things in perspective, these are 18 to 20-year-old kids, and they're living or 22-year-old kids, and they're living in a totally different, atmosphere than when we grew up. And I've been a big proponent of paying players for a long time, college players, and the reason for that is in baseball, you have 11.7 scholarships for a fully funded team, right? These guys are spending 20, 25 hours, 30 hours a week working and representing the university. And to me, I think that they should be paid. And I think this was long overdue, and this was just a way, the NIL was just a way to take care of them. I mean, we watched from a basketball standpoint, Donovan, what's going on with him and how he's been able to, he's probably setting himself up, financially for a long, long time.
Kev Rash, you might know something about that, huh?
We got room at Eastern Connecticut.
If he wants to
That's a
play
good
right
point.
away, he
Good
could go
point.
down the road to Eastern,
Yeah.
just like the baseball players did. Yeah, wow. What's going to come is it's so unpredictable. I just hope the NCAA stays
it's
intact.
not what we knew, obviously, but I love those points, by the way, especially in the baseball with the 11.7 scholarships. A lot of
I
these
would have
kids.
guessed that's it
Yeah.
for a year, huh?
Softball
Wow.
too.
And,
Same,
and
right?
We're,
Wow.
and we're only allowed to scholarship 27.
That was my next question. Okay, so it was
out of
27.
35. So,
Okay.
if you think about it, right, you got 8 guys on a roster that are paying the full freight, right? And quite honestly, it's more than that, because what most people do is they only scholarship 24 or 23. So the rest of the guys are paying because,
And they get halves.
yeah, I mean, in baseball, you have no choice but to give them 25% if you scholarship, right? You can't give them $2,000.
Okay.
So that's something that changed maybe 10 years ago. So you have to be able to give them 25%. And then eventually, you can bump them as the time goes, depending on how they do. But, the money usually goes to pitchers, usually goes to catchers, usually goes to shortstop, center fielders, that type of thing, and then you figure it out from there.
So when you said your recruiting money goes longer with in-state players, is the 11.7 based on an out-of-state applicant or student? Because in-state would be cheaper right off the rip, right?
We have an allotment of money at Central Connecticut, so we have X amount of dollars that we get to spend, and it comes out to being about 8 scholarships is the number. So, that's what we have. The UConns of the world have 11.7 and all the Power Fives and so on and so forth. So not everybody that's at Division I has 11.7. Some people have 5. I don't want to go into what other people have and air their dirty laundry.
Understood. Yep.
As soon as we hit the record button for the way. All right, so Pat, we've played this little game, and usually we go around the table, and this is going to be all you this time. Play this game called Who'd You Rather. We put up 2 guys. You say who you take, and it's based on whatever you want to do.
Let's go around.
Well, no, we've done some of these, so you guys could chime in. This is for Pat, though.
Go ahead.
From a baseball coaching perspective, MLB managers, Tito Francona, recently retired, or Bruce Bochy?
Oof, that's a good one. I'm going Bochy.
Don Father, who you want?
Tito.
Jesus Christ. That's nothing to do with the manager either. Pinella or Buck?
Vanilla.
Buck.
Pinella won one though. It's all about titles.
With who?
The Reds.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Was that
He beat
against
the Bash Brothers.
Yeah.
the A's? Yeah.
I love Buck.
4-0, right? He sweep them?
Yep.
A 4-1 or 4-0, yeah.
4-0.
Jose, blame it on Rio?
Yep. Paul O'Neill.
I love Buck, but Pinella had some unbelievable ejections.
Oh, yeah. LaRussa or Cox? I know who Jeffy would like.
Oh, shot.
I'm
Damn
going
you.
Cox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Jeffy. You get one player thing here, and we talked about one of the very early shows, Bonds or Griffey.
Those are my 2 favorite of all time. Bonds. Bonds the best player that I've ever seen play baseball. He's
Correct.
unbelievable.
Who was a better Yankee, Cano or Soriano?
Come on.
Come on.
Not even close, right?
I mean, it's Soriano.
Oh, I was worried. Okay.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cano couldn't even run a first base.
All right.
Yeah, he didn't want to, that's for sure.
No.
If Cashman sticks around, can signing 1 or 2 players save the Yanks, or is it just a Cashman deal and we're doomed until?
Well, I say this. I don't know if they play baseball anymore. Like when I watch them, and I watch them quite a bit, is a lot of them, they all try to do the same thing. And I'm a big believer in getting guys that can do different stuff. There's nothing wrong with striking out here and there with guys that are going to hit the ball out of the ballpark and hit for doubles and drive runs in. But you need guys that can set the table. You need guys that can steal. You guys need guys that can handle the bat. And I think the Yankees have lost that over the years. The glue guys that they had back when they had unbelievable teams simply don't exist right now. Some of those young kids look like they may have it in them. They just don't have enough experience yet. And it's awfully hard to get experience in New York City with the pressure that they have to win.
Well, they're going to start teaching bunting again. Did you guys read that?
That's the one
minor leagues.
That's the one takeaway, yeah.
They're going to bunt.
Coach, I want
Aaron Boone said it's going to come back. It's important now.
to piggyback on Bobby Mack's question there. If you're the Yankee GM and you can only make one move this offseason, free agent, trade, what would it be?
I'd get a pitcher. I'd get the best pitcher on the market, whoever that might be. I mean, I've talked about Blake Snell, and I know we talked about earlier that he doesn't finish games, but I do think he has a knack to strike a lot of people out. And when you get into tough situations, you need a guy that can punch somebody out. And I like Snell. I think he's got plus stuff, left-handed, and I don't think New York will scare him.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'd release Stan.
Well, so
I'm with you.
So he picked a fight with him in the media. Of course, he had to do it through the media, just like he did when Judge rejected whatever offer, right?
And Jeter.
And Jeter. So, like, this is his latest ploy to get the fans on his side. We're sick of Hicks. He gets rid of Hicks. Hicks hits like 300 for a couple months. Gets rid of Donaldson. Donaldson's on a playoff roster. This summer, everyone's against him. He's swearing into these little press soirees he has. And he gets rid of Stanton. That's our biggest thing right now, right, Stanton? I mean, come on, man. Come on.
That would be a great day, though.
But they're
That'd be a
Band-Aids.
great
They're all
day.
little Band-Aids. We need to make an incision, rip all that cancer out, and sew it back up. And get Paulie and Bernie back in there and Tino, for crying out loud.
Yep.
For the love of
Get them on a
God.
coaching staff.
I'll take Randolph on the bench for
I'm
heaven's
gonna-
sake right now.
I'm going to throw some baseball terms out at you.
Just to talk about Cashman real quick
Go.
on that. Like, I don't understand why Cashman didn't just take it. Just take the beating. Like, they had a bad year. You know, guys got hurt. You got to, he went and rant and rave and say things to the media. Just say, hey, listen, guys, we understand. We're the New York Yankees. We should be a really good team. We had a bad year. Okay, we're going to try to get better this year. But going after and saying things to whether it's Stanton and listen, I mean, the game is hard. The game is he's injury prone and all that other stuff. But I'm not sure that's the way the general manager of the New York Yankees should be acting. He should just take it and move on and make the team better this year.
We're pretty effing good, is what he said, right?
That's what he said.
Sure
Right.
did.
What a worm. Just trying to weasel his way out.
I just hate the philosophy. It just doesn't matter. Like, by the way, Stan's agent is the same as the
Yamamoto,
Japanese-
yeah.
That's nice job, Cash.
Hey, so Pat said before he wants somebody with a good battery who will dive. They want guys that could run and handle the stick.
We don't.
They want. Hold on. They want pitchers that'll go deep into games. If you're not better than the guy coming in, you're staying out there like the comedian, right? This just in. Hal just called. We're gonna hire Pat to.
That's why I told him in the pre-production. We need him as the Yankee GM.
bigger sleep rooms. Jesus.
Yeah, for the next time Herman has an incident. All right. Pat, I'm going to throw a bunt or a baseball term out there at you. Tell me the first player you think of. Hopefully you can go big leagues for us, but if it's a guy you coach because that's your business, throw him out there. Be his 5 seconds. Bunt. We're all in on this one, by the way. Bunt.
I know they don't do it anymore in the big leagues, so I'm going to go back to the guy that had 11 bunt base hits a year for me, Dean Lockery.
Where? At Central?
At Central, yeah, because they don't do it a lot. I mean, if I go back and try to think about guys that can bunt.
Yeah, can we even think of one? And
Brett Butler, we
Brett
came out
Butler,
right
we
away.
said, yeah.
Juan Pierre?
Juan Pierre.
Brett Butler.
I think I had.
Juan Pierre? Nigel Morgan?
Yeah.
Was he a bunter?
Yeah.
I think I had Otis Nixon. I mean, you're going way back, but my man Otis.
Kenny?
Lofton, another good one.
You know who used to bump for
Kenny
hit every
Lofton
now and
was great.
again? Donnie Baseball, because if the third baseman was back, he'd drop one. I'm not kidding
when
you.
did you ever see that happen? Did you really?
Look it up. And by the way, Rizzo
Come on.
had a couple with the shift.
Is this
on
a Yankee
before the
segment or a podcast? Come on.
Relax. All right, Pat. Situational hitting.
Welcome to the show.
Situational hitting, Edgar Martinez.
Not Stanton? That's unbelievable.
Anybody?
Even though he ripped our heart out all the time. I know.
You guys got anybody?
I'll go Gwynn.
I was thinking Gwen.
I'll go with Don Mattingly.
I'm gonna say Paul Molitor.
We got Don Father.
Don Father wanted in. He can't.
Well, I mean, you came storming down here, now nothing.
Ichiro wasn't too bad either.
Yeah, he was okay.
Yeah, the same situation every time. Hit a
Get
triple.
Crocker, who you got? Dewey Evans?
Coach. Walk off.
Jeter.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Ortiz, let's go. Come on.
Boy.
Joe Carter.
Homers.
Great eye.
Soto.
I'm thinking 96 World Series.
Bogsy wouldn't swing at it.
Bogsy against the lefty.
I'm thinking Bonds.
Kevin Youkilis.
Bombs, you're right.
I'm thinking Tino because he took one in the World Series.
Yeah, that's-
that many people would think it's a strike,
he
and
took
it
a strike.
wasn't.
He took a strike.
Langston thought it was there. It wasn't there. Hey, you know what's funny about the AAU world? Like, if a guy's out but he runs the first base hard, the two people in the stands yell, good hustle, John," or whatever. That's the parents. And then, or when they don't swing at a pitch and it's called a ball, whether it is or not, they say it twice. They're like, good eye.
Oh yeah.
It's not that good of an eye. You didn't want to swing.
No, it's a ball.
Yeah, right. All right, stolen base.
Ricky, Vince Coleman.
I like Vince.
I thought you were going to bring out the oven mitt. I was going to ask him about the oven mitt.
I don't want to go
No?
there. I bet his guys wear them. I mean, I can't do it. They got it. Otherwise, if you don't
Someone
want to
did
play, they
just say
won't come
Dave
and play.
Roberts in my ear.
Better believe it.
Oh, get
Get
out
out
of
of
here.
here with that.
Billy Hamilton. Nice career.
Herb Washington.
There we go. When we talk, we're talking pitchers now. Shutout.
Well, those don't exist
Talking
anymore
the 80s.
either.
He's talking
Yeah,
about the
hold on,
80s.
I got one. Gibson. I think he had like. I gotta go back and look at it, but he had a ridiculous number of shutouts one year. He had like something like 18 complete games, and like 12 of them were shutouts. Yeah.
Well, I'm going with a guy with a similar sounding beginning of the name with the G and the short I. Guidry. Remember we talked about that?
Louisiana Lightning.
Shocker.
Yeah, he wrestled alligators and he shut guys out. Let's talk. You can't say Mo. Save.
Trevor Hoffman.
What's his song?
Those bells.
Brocious
right.
liked Hoffman.
Oh.
Brocious liked him too.
Good night.
Bruce Sutter as a kid.
Lee Smith.
Wow.
I said the same thing. Hoffman, we did that one.
Reardon. A catcher with a hose. Who's the catcher?
I got two. Pudge, obviously. And you know what? An unbelievable arm was Charlie Johnson.
Oh,
That's
Charles
good-
Johnson.
good call.
nice.
Yeah.
He had a bazooka.
Yeah.
Marlins, yep.
That's what
Good
I
one.
heard. That's what Jeffy heard.
No Posada. I mean,
He had a cannon. He
Who's
just
that? Come on,
couldn't
man. He just
frame
couldn't
it.
catch. How about an outfielder with a hose?
Jesse Barfield.
Nice.
He's all over Twitter, by the way. Jesse.
Is he?
Yeah.
Dwight Evans.
Oh
Dave
God.
Winfield.
Bo
Parker.
Jackson. Yeah.
Jose Guillen.
Vlad.
Glad.
Ichiro.
He's-
Pat. We could do this baseball
Oh,
thing
my
every
God.
once in a while if you
I
want to
love
come
this.
back, man.
Yeah, I love
would love
it.
to do it
Did a
during the
great
season.
job, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we'll have you on during the season.
Hang on, we got a trivia question. We good?
We got more stuff. I'm
All
just
right.
saying things
Go.
to Pat because we're
Let
going
it
to
rip.
transition into some normal stuff.
Bring Newman with you next
All
time.
right, so UConn hoops up 3-0. I mean, the Natties are back. The boys from Piscataway 3-1. Trap game to start the year at Princeton. Yeah, everybody can shoot. It's not a trap game. Out of here. I want to talk one relevant hoop thing right now, and I know, Celtics had a big win last night, and more step back heroics and all that kind of stuff, and LeBron's doing great, and whatever. How about the Clippers can't win with this guy?
I love it.
They're
win one
0-5.
game.
Why would you think they would?
Dude, they're history repeating itself. Okay, so Draymond, his latest act of violence, which is what he does. He's a thug. I know he has a podcast. I know he likes to come back at people that have a different opinion than him. He's bristly. He's worse than bristly.
He's never coming back on this one again if you're going to keep, going.
He's out. He wouldn't even be bristly. He's a jackass.
Yeah.
All right, so forget about what happened last night or 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago.
2 nights.
Well, let's not forget about it. What wouldn't you love to see Draymond walk up to Rudy face to face and see what might happen? Because I remember hearing Rudy's a pretty tough guy. He came up from behind him and choked him for 30 seconds or so. I mean, what is that? Is this WWF or what's your guys' takes on Draymond? That's what I'm asking.
He's a loser. We've
I'm
talked
done
about
with
it. If you put him, he's a great role player. He's a great role player. Like teams need guys like that to win. He's an instigator, obviously, but you put him on the Wizards. He's drafted by the Wizards. He's just another stiff. Sits at the end of the bench. I did read something where he's been ejected like 12 times now or something, 14 times, and like 8 of them have been when Steph Curry hasn't played.
He was ejected 2 days before that, too.
Yeah, so like he gets thrown out like when Curry doesn't play. Like
So he doesn't wanna play?
that was all over Twitter about
But-
like he's going to get ejected.
But do the Warriors win one chip without him? I can't stand the guy.
Win
But I don't
one?
think they win without him.
No, like
I think with KD and Clay healthy, they're probably pretty good.
No, I mean again, you need guys like. I mean, he does a lot of the dirty work and stuff. But is he a
Say that
superstar?
again.
No.
I mean, but there's talk of him already about being a Hall of Famer.
He's going to make the Hall of Fame.
he's-
He's got 4 championships, and he's a
Oh, okay.
great
well,
defender.
I've asked you guys this before. Then, how the hell is Big Shot Bob not a Hall of Famer with 7?
Ah,
What?
he's just a
Look at the
he's a
statistics.
still jump shooter though. Like he's not.
Oh
any
no,
good.
no, no,
Come
no,
on.
no! You might want to look at these.
Wasn't
numbers,
Draymond,
man.
what, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, like
Yeah.
5-time All
Oh,
Defense?
come on,
I can't
man.
stand the guy, but
Big shot, Bob. I mean, when you're getting the superstars on the team are getting triple teamed, and he's standing there by himself.
this big shot was the
One-
only shot he made all game.
8-time All Defense, only 1-time Defensive Player of the Year. First of all,
Think he would have done that to Charles Oakley?
That's a great point. You know,
no, because he'd
Charles
fear
would-
for his life.
because Charles would try to kill him. Yeah.
I don't think he'd do it to Anthony. What's his nuts was? What's his
Mason?
name? Mason. All right, I got another one for you then, because I don't want to hear this guy's a Hall of Famer because he does dirty work.
You're the one who always says to me, I'm too hard of a grader. Like, I don't think Rodman should be in the Hall of Fame, but he is. And that's somebody you could compare Draymond to.
How so?
He was a role player. He was a great role player, Rodman. I mean, he was
He's
a great
getting
rebounder.
20
and defender.
rebounds a night, for a while.
And he's a humongous distraction.
But Draymond was he's an
Couldn't score.
all-star.
Draymond's a much better offensive
He's an
player than
all-star,
Rodman was.
Draymond. Rodman wasn't an all-star once, right? One time?
About Kevin Love.
What about him?
How's he compared to Draymond, and is he a Hall of Famer?
No.
He's a better all-around player than him.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a Hall of Famer? Probably. He'll make it someday. He's not going to be one of those guys that makes it right away.
His numbers below Draymond's out of the water.
Until he played with LeBron, and he has to stand in the corner and shoot jumpers.
Well, that's because point LeBron. Jerk. How about my man Jerome Kersey?
What about him?
Did a lot of dirty work.
He's not
Tough
a-
guy.
nah.
I'm not saying he is either, but why is Draymond getting this pass? Because I
If they
think Jordan
want-
Poole was right. I think Jordan Poole was right. You're an expensive backpack for number 30, and he slugged him at because he couldn't handle it. And he's freaking right, man. He's right. All right, how about
Jordan Poole's
I'll give you a
winner.
good one. No championships. Tom Chambers.
Not a Hall of Famer.
I agree. His numbers
Really good player.
destroyed Draymond.
He won a dunk contest. Come on.
I don't think he
Had
did.
an all-time dunk.
Didn't he?
No, he had an all-time
No,
dunk.
you're thinking of when he put his knee in Mark Jackson's lip.
Yep.
Whatever. You guys don't want to. You guys want to kiss Draymond's butt.
No,
you like
who's
everybody
kissing his
else.
butt? Like, I
He sucks,
like that
dude.
at all.
They don't even guard him out there.
right. I'm not
He's
disagreeing.
a 30% shooter.
You asked me if I think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I said yes. You
no,
don't like
I said, is he a Hall of Famer? Don't be bristly with me. I said, is he a Hall of Famer? You said,
He's
well,
gonna
you
make it.
know,
He's
I like
gonna make
him.
it.
He's a
Would I
role
vote for him?
player.
No.
Roll back the tape. You said he's in because I like
Draymond.
him.
He's going
said-
to be in the Hall of Fame.
That's not the point. Should he be?
No. Should Rodman be in?
Rodman's tough. I got to say, yeah.
Don Father, is Wemby going to be a Hall of Famer?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's not going to play 3 years.
No, he's not going to
Oh
play
my
3
God,
years.
you're
He's not
still
gonna play
doing
3
this?
years.
Should Puckett be in? Should Mattingly be in?
That's Mattingly should be
Kidding
in.
me?
Neither should be in.
What?
If
Neither should be in.
I think if Puckett's in,
I agree with if Puckett's in, then
Then
Mattingly
that's
should
what I'm
be in.
saying.
I don't
That's what I
think
was gonna
either
say.
one of them should be in.
Puckett gets
Be honest
in.
with you.
Puckett, I think, got in because of the 2 World Series.
maybe, but from '84 to '88, Mattingly was the best player in baseball. Puckett never
Look at
put up
right
those
on
kind
your
of
wall,
numbers.
right in the studio. Look at it. Right there. It says
Hey,
it.
Bobby Mack. By the way, how's Jordan Hawkins doing?
Well, Jay's got him cut already.
Yeah,
He had 31 the other night.
I mean,
Zion's. They're doing pretty well, too, huh? How many losses in a row? Is that 6?
we don't care. We just know the Hawk is
No,
scoring.
Hawk.
He's scoring.
He's Ray Light, man.
Zion's
Let's go.
tapping out already.
Zion's going to be a Nick.
Yep.
All right.
Take him.
Angry Jay, go for it.
Trivia question?
Yeah.
You want an easy one or a hard one?
Come on, bring it.
Pat, what do you want?
I want a hard one.
All right,
All
let's
right.
do it.
4 guys in Major League history who have hit a home run in their teens and in their 40s.
Andrew Jones.
No.
Pujols.
No.
Ken Griffey Sr.
No.
Bonds?
No.
Junior.
So he played 22 years at least, right?
At least, yeah.
Minnie Minosa.
No.
Manny Mota.
Quiet for a second. Manny Mota.
I'll tell you this. There's only one guy that's really old. Like an old timer. Old timer.
The rest of them are modern.
Yeah.
More modern.
Mick?
No.
I don't know. Come on, give us a hint or move it along. It's bad radio here.
Well, you want on the tough question. You can't even
I
come up
know.
with
Now
one
give us
goddamn
a hint for
answer.
the tough question. I know
we didn't even
We're
get
talking
one.
one guy in the early 1900s.
Oh yeah. I remember. I got his card. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Who is
It's
it?
probably worth a lot then. Ty
Roger.
Cobb. Have you ever heard of him?
He didn't even have his hands together on that bat.
hit a dinger.
Don't count.
He
He
hit
could
a
have played
dinger.
for Central.
Two guys played for the
like this.
Two guys played for the Yankees at some point in their career. I'm not sure if you go back that far. And the other guy, I'll give you another hint. He's the only guy in Major League history to have 500 hits with 4 different teams. What? Yeah.
Say that one.
He was a Met, like a big Met.
Say it again.
Which one?
Just the hint they just gave.
One of the guys had 500 hits with 4 different teams. The only guy in Major League history to do it.
And he played in his 40s for the Mets. He played.
Eddie Murray?
No.
He didn't play for the Mets.
Redhead.
Rusty?
Rusty
Come
Staub.
on, man.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say Rusty Kuntz. Remember
on,
that guy
how
for
about-
the
how
Oh,
Pirates?
it's
Yeah.
a great pinch hitter for the Tigers. Yeah.
How about the other two? Come on. It's not hard. They're 500. One guy, come on. 500, 600 home runs.
A-Rod?
A-Rod's one of them. That's 3. So Cobb, Staub, A-Rod, and...
Jeter?
No. Played for a bunch of teams. Brewers, Mets, Marlins, Yankees. Dodgers. His son is really big on X now.
He does that.
Oh, Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield, that's 4.
I'm
Should have
exhausted.
went with the easy
I
one
know,
with you
that
guys.
was
What the hell?
What's the easy? Come
Jesus.
on, man.
This is supposed to be fun.
Let's go with the easy one.
The easy one, there's only 4 guys in Major League history who have walked 2,000 times.
Barry.
Barry Bonds is one of them.
Pete Rose?
No.
You said it like it was an awful guess.
It is an awful guess.
Are you
It's a terrible
insulted?
guess.
I mean, Jesus.
Bogsy?
No.
What the hell? I mean, a guy had 4,200 hits. He couldn't walk a couple thousand times?
I don't think he walked 100 times in a year.
Oh, bull crap. He walked.
Oscar Azoka? He never took a pitch. All right, that airtime. Get a couple hints, man. Barry and who?
We need hints on these guys?
Come on, man.
Jesus Christ. They're all in the Hall of Fame?
Do they deserve to be there?
Greatest leadoff hitter of all time.
Draymond Green. I mean,
Henderson.
Ricky Henderson is 2.
Get that many walks?
How about the greatest
Why would you want
home
him
run
to
hitter
steal
of all
second?
time?
Roger Maris.
Babe?
Babe, there's 3. Guy with the greatest eye of all time.
Tony Gwynn.
Teddy?
Teddy Ballgame?
Ted Williams, there we go.
Wow.
Jesus. My God. Jesus. I'll dumb him down next week.
All right, this fantasy segment brought to you by Capital Securities, a life well planned. Joe Moriello. 9 years ago tonight, Jonas Gray of the Patriots. Remember this? 4 TDs.
Stock? What?
Jonas Gray for the Patriots. He had his one-hit wonder. 4 touchdowns against the Colts on this night 9 years ago.
I do not remember that.
Well, guys were probably picking him up on fantasy the next morning and never heard from him again. All right, fantasy report. Don Father, let's go. Go Cowboys.
I got a question for Coach real quick though. How come the gymnastics thing never worked for Bobby Mack? Like, he's been in leotards more than anybody else I know, and he has never went to anything for him.
They're built just slightly different.
A little different. All right.
They're called Lululemons now, dude. Shut the hell up. I was going to say this, Coach. Had a center fielder that was like, he could run him down, good bit. He couldn't hit, but like he was just talented in every sport. And, I knew that he danced as a kid. And like his teammates and buddies didn't know that until later on. As soon as I let the cat out of the bag, it was all over. But like, seriously, you know who it is, man.
Talking about Pikel?
It's it's the great Dan Kaczynski, man. He was a dancer, and his calves were like Jordans when he was like 6th grade.
Yeah.
Dude. Shout out, Dan. Go Cowboys. Go Litchfield Cowboys. Go ahead.
All right, Mac, we start with our dumpster fire of the week, and I got to, I can't use the same team where I pick the Giants or Patriots every week. Got to start with the Bills. I mean,
What's going on, man? Firing a coordinator?
Awful. I mean, terrible. How do you lose that game? At home, Monday Night Football, stupid penalties.
Josh Allen
Allen
He's overrated.
He's leading the NFL in interceptions,
He's overrated.
but they say he doesn't have enough weapons. I mean, that team is just terrible. And look at their games. Their next 4 games: Jets, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys. Those are the Bills' next 4 games.
Losing the last one.
Are they win any of them? They might be the Jets, but 1 and 3
Where
at
is the Jets
best.
game? Is that a home or away?
I don't have that detail, Coach. But
It'll be cold. I know. It'll be cold.
If it's in New York, they're going to lose.
Yet to be determined.
Okay. It'll definitely be in New York.
so I mean, they're at best.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Other one's in
If it's in the
They're at
New
best.
Jersey, New Jersey.
They're at best 6 and 8. At best 6 and 8, and they're still going to play the Dolphins after that. I mean, are they making the playoffs?
Tua?
No.
Playoff time for fantasy?
I agree. I don't
Tua's
think they're going to make the
nuts.
playoffs.
Playoffs. Talk about Brisley.
All right, so we're going to go last week's Stardom Cinema was fantastic. I said sit Ramondre, sit Derrick Henry and Travis Etienne. They were all garbage. Trevor Lawrence, remember that was here? It was perfect. I said start Purdy, Rashad White, and Noah Brown. Great week. So hopefully everybody cashed in
Purdy
on that
wasn't
last
great,
week.
right?
He only had 28 fantasy points, I think.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Sitting on our bench. So this week we're starting Josh Dobbs. I mean, he's 25 fantasy points the last 2 games each. He's been absolutely on fire, and the Broncos are giving up quarterback production like nobody else in the NFL. They're better than they were when they gave up 70, but they're pretty bad right now. And
Ballsy moved by the Vikes, right?
it's awesome. And he might have Jefferson
Can't
back.
the Brownies do that?
You remember Slick Watts?
Yeah.
Supersonics?
Oh, my
Josh
God. He
Dobbs.
looks just like him, dude.
What'd you say?
I thought it was Villanueva, Charlie.
What'd you say?
Can't the Brownies do that?
Do what?
They
had them. They had
Minnesota.
Dobbs.
did.
No,
Yeah,
they needed a quarterback. They went out and got the best available quarterback. I don't even know if he was available.
Dobbs was on the Browns in August.
I know, but he was on the Cardinals because they got lucky against
Browns
the
are
Cowboys.
they're going to be fine.
With who, that guy?
Tim Burns said the kid from UCLA is a winner.
He tucks in champion sweatshirts.
He's
back
a winner.
there.
He's a winner.
All right, Don Father, go ahead.
All right, we're sitting Trevor Lawrence against Tennessee. He's awful. So I guess little trivia question here. What do Tommy DeVito, Clayton Tune, and Zach Wilson all have in common?
They suck.
All had more fantasy points than Trevor Lawrence last week.
Wow.
All 3 of those guys had more fantasy points than Trevor Lawrence. He is awful. Awful. Tennessee is not even good. He's just really bad right now. You can't play him. He's terrible. He's almost drop-worthy. Running backs, we're starting James Conner at the Texans. He had great volume last week in his first game back, and the Texans allowed 11 points or more to 4 running backs in a row, so he's an easy start. And we're sitting Pacheco against Jay's Eagles. Even though the Chiefs are great off bye, Andy Reid's great off a bye. He's had 7 or
Overrated.
less points the last 2 weeks, and no team, Angry Jay like this, has allowed less points to fantasy running backs than the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm sitting Pacheco on Monday.
No mention on wide receivers.
I haven't mentioned. I have a question about that, though. We're starting at Mac, might be Matt Tankdell, who you wanted to pick up 4 weeks ago. Would have been a great call by you. Be more assertive next time. Playing Arizona, he scored 18 points in 3 of his last 4 games. Nico Collins is playing, but banged up. So Tankdell is going to stream, and they're really weak against outside receivers. Arizona, against everybody, but weak against outside guys. You're going to sit Deontay Johnson. I mean, he's averaged, I think, 6 catches a week for the last 4 weeks since he's been
throwing
back.
it to himself.
They're throwing a lot, but they're playing the Browns.
Oh, done.
The Browns are only giving up. The Browns are giving up 10 catches a game to wide receivers, like 10 in the entire game. That's
Look at him.
Yeah, I know. Audie's in Never Land over there. Tight ends, I'm just going to start Trey McBride. I think I've mentioned his name 3 times on this show in the last month. He's a beast. He had 14 targets last week with Kyler's first game back. He's going to get double-digit targets every week, even as a flex. He's worth a flex start, Trey McBride. He's going to be 7 catches, 80 yards, maybe a tutty every week, maybe not a tutty every week. I'm not sure.
Is he available in Vermont or no?
He might be as
In
a
our league?
flex. We're going to probably need a flex this week or week. I got trivia. You might have heard it. If you did, then sorry. Coach, you got to be involved in these questions. So a couple weeks ago, you saw TJ Watt got his 88th sack in his first 100 games, moving to second in all time for the sack list. Do you know who we passed who had 87 and a half? This is a two-part question. So he has 88 in his first 100 games. He's now second on the list. Who did he move past who had 87 and a half sacks? Half a sack less than him in his first 100 games.
He had a half a sack less?
Yeah. Watt.
like a bad
TJ
accident.
has 88. He passed somebody that had 87 and a half.
LT, yeah, I'll say LT.
I'm not even paying
It was
attention.
his brother, JJ.
Get out.
He passed his brother, but they're both 17 sacks behind the all-time leader in
Get
their
out.
first 100 games. The all-time leader has 105 sacks in his
Reggie
first
White.
150. Jerk. Yeah, Angry got it. It was Reggie White. Did I
I'm
text
not
that to
paying
you, Angry?
attention. He's Googling it.
How many does Myles Garrett have?
Oh, yeah, here we go.
I have a
He
Miles
was
Garrett
suspended
question
for
actually coming up
2
too.
months swinging a helmet at the
So there's one
Steelers.
team in the NFL that has what they call a negative pass differential. So one team is allowed 19 touchdown passes and only has 4 interceptions. So it's a negative 15 touchdown passes to interceptions. Everybody gets one guess. I wouldn't expect you would. So 19 touchdown passes allowed, only
It ain't the
4
Chargers.
interceptions. So they're the worst in the NFL in differential between touchdowns allowed and interceptions.
Do they have an 8-1 record?
Arizona.
I'm going to say the Chargers.
Bears.
Eagles.
It is the Philadelphia Eagles. Best record in NFL, worst differential when it comes to passing touchdowns and interceptions. All right, you guys might, Angry will probably get this one. CJ Stroud has 826 passing yards in his last 2 games. Only one other rookie quarterback has a 2-game stretch of 800 or more passing yards. Who is it?
Oof.
And by the way, it was game 1 and 2 of the season of his rookie year.
Wow, really? So it's got to be recent, right?
It's recent. I mean, within the last 20 years. Well, I don't know what you consider recent.
No, that is recent.
You're
I was
Ty
immediately-
Cobb trivia questions crying out loud. No, it's recent, right? 20
am
years
I making
ago.
fun of your trivia question? It's
I don't
coming
know,
from the hecklers in the
Peanut gallery?
yeah.
You said within the last 20 years, so it can't be Kozar.
You're good at math. You're a teacher. I get it. All right.
Not really. Phys ed.
Because I was asking because I was going to go with Marino right away, but
More recent.
Who you got, Bobby Mac?
800. He's over 800 in his first 2 games of his
First
career.
2 games.
Wow, I have no
I
idea.
can give more recent. Last 15 years. That's as close as I'm going now. Peanut gallery, got anything?
Breeze.
Because it's as Max says, it's dead air.
Breeze.
It is
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. Yeah, over 400 yards his first game ever. Yeah, 400 and something yards his first game
Get
ever.
out of here. He should be a Brown by the end of the week.
I got the Lottie Myles Garrett trivia question. Okay, so Myles Garrett,
Myles Garrett.
he got 10 sacks last week, so that's
10 sacks last week. That's pretty
I mean,
impressive.
geez,
That's
10
a
sacks
record.
in 6 of his first 7 seasons already. Now he's played 7 seasons. That's 10 sacks at least. Only 3 other players have had that feat. So 10 sacks in 6
Well,
of your first 7
Reggie.
seasons.
That have to be Reggie, as mentioned before.
Reggie is one.
LT.
Nope, surprisingly not.
Derek Thomas.
Bruce Smith?
No and no.
How about that nut for the Rams? What's his name?
I can tell you one thing. They both played for the same team at one point.
The sack
I was
exchange?
Nope.
Greg Lloyd?
Randall?
Nope.
All right, who is it?
Watts.
It is Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware.
Oh, nice.
Believable, too. Yeah.
All right,
there.
wrapping it up with one more question, Mac.
Jeez.
Justin Herbert now has the all-time record for passing yards in his first 4 seasons in NFL history. Passing this weekend, he passed the guys in first and second. He was third going into the weekend. He's now first all-time. Who did he pass that were in first and second are now in second and third for passing yards in their first 4 seasons?
Manning.
I heard one of them in the back, and I heard one of them over here. Manning and Marino, 1 and 2 all-time passing yards in the first 4 years.
How bad are the Chargers, by the way? How bad is that defense?
Oh, it's great to watch
See, they're
from
not
fantasy.
changing
though.
either, yeah.
Their offense, they scored 5 touchdowns in their last 5 possessions.
That's where Jim Harbaugh's going to coach next year, I heard. And coach the Chargers.
Or Belichick.
By the way, they announced the you see they announced the
Belichick?
MVPs, baseball MVPs.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Both unanimous. Otani and Acuna, right?
Shohei and yeah.
I don't like the Otani, personally.
We talked about that. We agree. Well, Angry and I agree, anyways.
All right, guys. Cole won a Cy Young. That's all you got to know. 10/26/2023. It's the first episode of Bristol Boys. Lottie and Mac on the sack. Subscribers, we're very sorry. You'll find your way. We'll get you there. Technician extraordinaire Kevin Ross in the studio tonight, going to make this happen. We want to thank our special guest, the coach.
Yeah,
We don't even need to say his name. He's the coach.
that was awesome. Thanks for coming,
Pat
Coach.
Hall,
Appreciate
Central
you guys.
Connecticut.
Thanks for having me on.
Go
Appreciate it.
Cowboys. Fire Cash. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, how about rest in peace to our guy Pat Green, Bristol legend.
Bristol legend Pat Green going down. We're going to have a meeting about him right now. Take care of business. That's why we're named Bristol Boys. We take care
That's
of the
right.
Bristol Boys. Actually, it's Bristol
Br-
Boys. My bad.
Bristol Legion legend.
Yeah? I thought he was more of a hoop guy.
Great hoop guy, but he was on the 84-85 team that went to New Orleans for the World Series.
Get
for
outta
Bristol
here.
Legion, yeah. Yep,
Not to mention City Sports.
that's right.
Rest in peace. Good night, everybody.
Did you know Pat at all?
I've met him a few times.